A little earlier, and I picked on some of you for not smiling, for not having fun, because this is a fundraiser. This is a fundraiser to elect a person I know well, and you know better. Some of you are related to her. In fact, you talk about an audience that is just wired. She's got all your votes anyway. Why are we having a fundraiser? But anyway, I've been a judge for almost 50 years, and I don't know much. I'm not very smart, and always people say, "Oh yeah, you are." And I say, no, I'm not. But I do know what it takes to be a good judge. I don't know if I was a good judge or not, but I had fun in the court. I treated everybody decently. I was very, very passionate. One of the expressions I would say in court, because I worked with people who were down and out for 35, 40 years doing street work. I gave a shit about people. And you know what? Jamie does also. When I looked at her application, because I had encouraged her to apply for judge, along with a lot of others, I was blown away because she has everything. But the most important things you can have in a judge: compassion. You've got to have compassion for everybody who appears in front of you, whether those persons be poor, rich, homeless, whatever. They deserve the same treatment by a judge as everybody else. That does not happen. That doesn't happen in California sometimes. I've seen some pretty piss-poor judges. In fact, I'm a little bit confrontational, to say the least. And I've taken on some judges I thought were jerks. And there are jerks as judges. I don't know about her opponent as a commissioner, so I won't even go there. But I do know that Jamie has no friends in high places. I do know that Jamie will treat everyone equally. Let me give you an example of what it means to be treated equally. Because the system of justice in California is broken sometimes. There's a systemic, inherent bias in the system. I'll give you an example. Back in the 1980s, I was sitting in Superior Court. I was doing the sentencings, and there were two people in front of me. And I had a policy at that time of no plea bargaining. I didn't allow it, so they had to plead straight up or go to trial. So these people had pled straight up. And one was a white, fairly wealthy person, but he was a controller for a multi-million dollar farming corporation. He had embezzled over $125,000. The other person was a person who had stolen a $2, and I'm not exaggerating, a $2 brush for his daughter for Christmas. He was a farm worker, spoke very little English, and he could be prosecuted as a felon because this was his fourth petty theft. And in those days, you could be tried as a felon for that. And all of the other three cases were less than $10 total. So the white person had maybe a couple dozen letters from people who were church members of friends of his, who were people who knew him from the community of Corcoran, and talking about how he could never do this. and never mind he had pled guilty, but basically that he wouldn't do it. He's a good person. Guess how many letters the Hispanic farm worker had? Zip. Because nobody spoke English. And there wasn't a translator for the farm worker. And so I read that. I read both probation reports because they recommended prison for the farm worker and probation for the guy who committed embezzlement. And embezzlement, you have to realize, is a systematic theft. So it was at least several dozen thefts over 10 years. So he had committed many, many grand thefts. And I looked at it and I said, this is total bullshit. And so I reversed it. I didn't reverse it, I just didn't go along with it. I gave the farm worker probation and gave the other guy prison. And then I called probation in and I talked to them about, you need to get your systems reevaluated because you're really being unfair to the people who don't have influence. And but this talk isn't about me. These are qualities that I wanted to see. I've never campaigned for any person in any office, let alone judge. But I'm very enthusiastic about Jamie. I know you all are. She has, y'all know her background probably better than I do. But for example, she was a public defender. She worked in all types of community service work for legal aid. And her work drew the attention of McCormick Barstow. McCormick Barstow was the firm in Fresno. I knew it when I was in law school, and it was an old firm then. And they were a white law firm who said, oh, we can use this person. But they didn't use her as a figurehead. They used her because they could put her to work in the office and she would do good because she's smart. And believe me, intelligence is not a requirement. Sorry, Jamie. But intelligence is not a requirement to be a judge. God knows there are a lot of stupid judges out there. And I know I'm one of them. But on the other hand, I don't really go, well, I'm not going to go too far. I asked permission of the two children's parents here. I said I'd be using a few words but because I don't want to offend them. I was told there'd be no children, so I'd be saying a lot more. But anyway, Jamie was a rising star in California for 6 years. She was recognized as one of the leaders in California as a lawyer as a lawyer. She was an administrative law judge for 2 years. So she's put on the robe, she's done it. She knows what she's doing, and now she gets a chance, and she will do it. She gets the chance to be a judge in the big court and make decisions. And the one thing I know she'll do well at is passion. She has passion. She will treat everybody fairly. She will make sure everybody is treated fairly, and she won't take shit from anybody. Because that is what I've always insisted on. I've taken many judges to task. I'm a little confrontational, and she's my kind of judge. So I'd like you all, I want you to stand and give her a hand, another hand right now, to Jamie Vang.